discussions on it. And that's why today we want to talk about, certain things. When you talk, people say, oh, it's my private life. Nobody should look into that. It's my private life and all this. At a private level, you can maintain your private life. But immediately you sign into public service, immediately you subscribe into, representing the public, you have no private life any longer for yourself. You do not have any private life for yourself. And that is how it works. That is exactly how it works. That's why you ask yourself, why are presidents, prime ministers, and leaders all over the world, why are even their medical records at public disposal? You will hear, they will tell you, Benjamin Netanyahu, he has cancer. They will tell you this person has a prostate. They will tell you all this. Because public figures do not have a private life of theirs. Any public figure who does not consider this very fact is bound to fail. Anyone who have a social contract with the people to lead them, and the fellow becomes careless to private life, becomes so careless to what he or she does at private level, invariably that person will fail. And let me tell us this. There are things, in fact, life is designed. Life is naturally designed in a way that every action has consequence. It's just that people are moved to talk about taking action and shy away from, analyzing the consequences or the effect. Let me not use the word consequence anyway. Let me use a softer diction here. People are crazy to talk about action without even talking about the effect. Very, very important. So, this topic, we are going to really, really discuss about it. And of course, this is a calling program. This topic is for each and every one of us who thinks you are serving in one way or the other. You have, in one way or the other, where you have public responsibility on your shoulder. It is a lesson for me. It is a lesson for you. In all the leadership capacity we find ourselves, let us understand this, that there are certain things we should not do. Not because we cannot do it when we are not leaders, but for the fact that an onus, responsibility is discharged upon us. There are certain things that should not be associated with us. And that is why Nigeria crumbles. Because you can see, for instance, you see people are in a leadership position and they're messing up. And the country is collapsing. The country is collapsing. When you look at progressive society, you find out that even leaders are not even expected to take certain gifts. I have said it here time without number. Why are they trying Benjamin Netanyahu of Israel? Because somebody gifted him a wristwatch. And he collected it while sitting as the Prime Minister of Israel. They say, no, you're a public servant. If anybody gives you a gift and you take, probably you're paving way for the person to have access. You're paving way for nepotism. And the Prime Minister, he's still facing his trial. What about Donald Trump? He had a phone chat with a Ukrainian leader. And they say they call, in the first impeachment he had, they say the call he had, he discussed personal issues which he ought not to discuss as the President of the United States. Why? Because he is a public figure. You know why we say all these things is that some of us are very terrible. When you see the way some of us reason and you ask, where is this person stays? They say, oh, he stays in US, he stays in Europe. You wonder what is actually the problem with his mind. He or she lives in a society that is functional. He or she lives in a society of accountability. He or she lives in a society where there is high moral establishment. But when you now tell him, reflect that, indigenalize that into your own system, you see him, he or she will be talking as if he's even in the worst part of the world. And you now ask your question, why is this person reasoning like this? Is it because he's in a, bad side of the world? No, it's because evil and wickedness is embedded in him or her. That's one thing. You cannot eradicate wickedness because you left a particular location to another. It is an ingrained thing. When somebody is wicked, when somebody is corrupt, when somebody is evil, you cannot eradicate it because it is something that is deeply rooted. So we are talking about leadership. Very, very important to understand it. Leadership calls for extreme carefulness. Whether you like it or not, it will take IPOB some time to, build back confidence in terms of leadership confidence. It will take her time because it took the nonsense that happened in Kenya to deplete a lot of things. You might decide to, be highly destructively protective about it, but it is part of the history of the struggle. If you don't acknowledge it as part of the history of struggle, historians are writing, neutral historians are writing. It is part of the history of the struggle. And the earlier you chase it, the better for you. Because you cannot eradicate, cannot, get rid of historical facts. You see, when we talk about the movement, we find ourselves. I quite understand that certain things went wrong. And one of those things that I keep wondering today is, why have those people who aided and abetted some of this mess, why have they not taken responsibilities? Yeah, I find it difficult to comprehend why people find it difficult to take responsibility. Rather, they want innocent ones, people who were never in the circle, to take responsibility. No, it doesn't happen that way. One of those things, if we want to be serious to ourselves, one of those things we should do as a people is to always have a critical review of ourselves. Any people who always shy away from critical evaluation, critical review, of themselves and the process, they are just jokers. They are mere entertainers. They are mere comedians. Even sometimes, comedians will edit their work or their works, so to say. Even comedians, sometimes they edit their work. Despite that everything's supposed to be, for exercising, for laughter. But yet, even comedians who are taken to be unserious in their works of art, even comedians edit their works. So if a comedian goes into review, how much more a people who are into a serious journey be shying away from critical evaluation, be shying away from reviewing themselves. And when you talk, some people will say, you are gossiping. Are you mad? It's the weakest form of trying to, shy away from responsibility. You don't tell someone like me, oh, I am gossiping. Are you mad? If there is no gossip on the process, how will people think? So, what we find ourselves today into, and I always say it, was as a result of people who were around Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. You see, when you love sycophants, when you love praise singers, in fact, you have a problem. If, as an individual, you always want people who will praise you around you, people who will eulogize you, people who will not even care to tell you, you're getting it wrong here, you're getting it right here. If you have such a people clustering around you, you will definitely run into a problem. Because the sycophants have nothing to lose. Absolutely nothing to lose. A sycophant is around you to just survive. Yes, that is what sycophants do all over the world. It's not restricted to ours. A sycophant is there to make use of you, maximize you as an opportunity, trade you as much as he can. Then move on. You run into a problem, you can suffer it. That is what it is. That is basically what it is. So tell me a successful leader who loves sycophants and survive. You can't survive because that alone negates the principle of leadership success. It negates the principle of leadership success. And for you to make headway, for you to have a successful arrival, you should be highly, highly resistant and hostile to praise singers. Except you are not really, really serious with what you're doing. Except you don't know where you're going to. But if you're a man that knows his own use, a man that knows his destination, you should be mindful of positive remarks. Because hypocrites, sycophants, they're just there to, utilize you. They're there for utility purposes. Use you, get to where they want to, get what they want, and move on. You go and suffer it. The mess lies on you. The negative side of history lies on you. In fact, nobody will even record the sycophants around you. The historical records lies on you. For instance, the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, he is the one suffering in Sokoto. Yes, he is the one suffering in Sokoto. How many of them who were praising him, who were not telling him, Oga, going to this place without informing your men might risk even your life. How many of them who were just saying, hey, Oga go, no wahala. Oga go, no wahala. How many of them are with him in Sokoto today? How many of them are with him inside? None of them. They have moved on. I know many of them who were answering, PA, special this, special. They have moved on. And the fate lies on his head. So let us, when things happen, it's supposed to be a historical lesson to each and every one of us. Yes, it has to be a historical lesson. Now, something happened. For quite a number of time, as a matter of fact, I told us, one of those things I do is I do a whole lot of chronological documentations on the struggle. Yes, I do a whole lot of chronological documentation. And let me tell us, you see, it is hard time. This is the right time that we look to ourselves. We look to ourselves and tell ourselves, here we got it right, here we got it wrong, here we are improving, here we are not improving. Because it is a journey. A journey is not meant to be all too smooth. You have to understand that. But there are certain flaws that are avoidable. There are certain flaws that are avoidable. There are certain peace that are avoidable. Let me give you an instance. There was I think in 2018, if I'm not mistaken. No. Was it 2018? Was it 2018 or 2019? I will get the date. Let me see if I can get the date so I can be accurate. When Nnamdi visited Stuttgart, yeah, either 2018 or 2019, he visited Ipob Germany in Stuttgart. For those of you in Germany, can help us to call up the date when Nnamdi visited Stuttgart, because there are certain things we need to learn from our experience. And for those of you who do not know, this journey, I want to call up the date. That historical visit. Stuttgart, Germany. Okay. That is 2019, yes. 2019. 2019, Nnamdi visited Stuttgart. There's something I want to let you know. That was August 17, 2019. August 17, 2019. Nnamdi visited Stuttgart, Germany. And before that visitation, people were saying, oh, he would have visited, they would have the IPOB leadership, because as at that time, take note of this, as at that time, his itinerary, where he goes, who he sees, who he talks to, how he moves, were mainly managed by the leadership of this movement. The leadership were managing where he goes, the venue and all this. And do you know what? Prior to that time, wherever Onyendu is, there are level of leadership deployment of intelligence around him because he is a public figure. He belongs, his shame is the shame of the nation. That is one thing most of you do not know. His fall signifies a lot against the movement. And that's why it's not something to celebrate of. But we review all these things because we really need to learn from historical antecedent. We really need to learn. Life is all about learning. So that 17th August 2019, and Ipob Germany said they want to host him in Stuttgart. Some people were saying, oh, that is quite far, that would have happened perhaps in a more, centralized place. I could remember vividly. By then, I called some people in Germany. I said, oh, but why is it that, listen very good. I said, but why is it that you people are not even considering the worries of others who are saying this place is far, this place is, not really a centralized place? I remember what they told me. One of them said that they considering that Onyendu is a public figure, that they considered a place that will have a close proximity, one, to police station, in case the life of Onyendu is threatened in that meeting, that they can have within 5 minutes deployment of external security to help Ipob security. I want you to understand how the leadership were protecting the leader himself. That is one. Two, they also told me that another factor they consider is the factor of evacuation. That where they have programmed for the meeting, they have considered the transportation network. And they know that even at the most difficult time, they can even evacuate him through rail lines. And I marvel at the level of smartness of leadership protecting the leader. That is what ideal protection is. And of course, all through the time they were managing his itinerary, all through the time they were protecting and understanding where he was going, he never ran into problem. Even when he was in Afraruku Ibeku, that the leadership was in charge of what was happening and going, they did their best. And that was why the enemy knew that the best thing to do is to get him out of the management by the leadership. Most of you do not also understand this. Normally, people will say, oh, why didn't it happen in the capital of Germany? But the leadership said, no. You see, we are considering proximity to external security to help. In a situation where problem arises, because you cannot predict issue of security, you cannot predict accurately. They said, we want where we can have a quick, if our internal security is overpowered by the threat, we have less than 5 minutes for the police to help our internal one. Then the road network, the train line, we can evacuate him easily. You know, most of you didn't understand the last assassination attempt that happened in the US. These are some of the things the Secret Services consider. They don't choose location for mere choice. And this is one of these things I weep when the siblings of Onyendu took him away from the circle of protection he was enjoying under the leadership itinerary management. If you watch the failed assassination of Donald Trump, this is how, you know, secret services work all over the world. If you watch the sitting position of Donald Trump, you find out that one of those things the Secret Service considered before choosing that hotel was, peradventure something happens, can we have a quick exit for the president, the vice president, and the VIPs? That was why immediately the whole thing was happening. Before you could know, there was a door on the right hand that Donald Trump was evacuated to. And the vice president, there was also a door. If you study the Secret Service, one of those things they consider is that, what is the nearby hospital? Peradventure the president is shot and there is a need to, we should have a very close proximity to a good hospital. They also consider, what is the road network? What is the exit point like? What is the possibility of having external forces helping the internal one managing the emergency? And these are what the leadership have been, you know, putting within the circle of Onyendu until he was cajoled into walking out of that space. And that also tells me how people can underappreciate what they have. You know, you might have a system that is so amazing, but you will not appreciate until you unknowingly walk out of the circle. You now see how vulnerable you are. Yeah. You now see how vulnerable you are. Because when the leader was conscious of what he was leading, he made sure that the leadership was really managing his itinerary. But at the time, he felt, the leader himself felt, there are certain life he wants to live. Perhaps he does not need the leadership to know about it. There are certain things he wants to do. Perhaps the leadership coming around him will undermine, will threaten those so-called private life. The nonsense most of you are talking as a private life today. When he was living a public life, he was okay with the way the leadership was managing his itinerary. He was okay. Until perhaps he needed a private life. And you know one funny thing with private life, when you demand a private life, you don't want certain individuals to be around you because they might leak a lot of things. They might be close to you and start saying certain things that, you know, will stir up resentment, doubt of one's credibility. So you decide to, let them not manage me again. Let probably my siblings to come close and do it. Because there are certain things perhaps I want to do. If an outsider know about it, he might not be okay. And of course, That was how he started creating conflict, crisis where it does not exist. Because he needed to live a private life. You know, when most of these guys are talking about private life, I look at them and laugh. I just look at them and laugh. Leadership calls for responsibility. You cannot do away from it. Leadership calls for a responsibility. If you cannot put in the responsibility, you need less of flying the flag of leadership. And of course, when he now felt, let me I want to live my private life. I don't want these guys to be managing my itineraries. Perhaps they will see a lot. Of course, the evil ones around him, the sycophants around him, even start letting him know that, you can leave Europe. You know, Europe, anywhere you find yourself, you might be seen, you might be known because you're a popular person. No, don't be in US. If you're in US, a lot of people, anywhere they see you, maybe in sensitive places, they ought not to see you. They will know, they will identify you. Come to Africa. Of course, a dark continent. Come to a dark continent where you will do your thing. So, and of course, they will always tell you that is his private life. What do you even mean what do you consider to be a private life to a public figure? And of course, because of the theory of private life, they convinced him with, when he ran into problem, that they are supposed to be a public alarm raising. They say, no, let us do it privately. When the leader himself ran into problem, he first of all ran into problem in Ethiopia. He was first of all intercepted in Ethiopia. It's just that the Ethiopian government refused to collaborate with Nigeria and repatriate him. Instead of these people to raise a public alarm, they say, no, it's his private life. The theory of private life. A public figure, you are bringing his itinerary to private life. First of all, they started removing those they believe frown at him. For instance, they smuggled in the concept of special counsel and started shading away his itinerary from the IPOB lawyer Joffo. They brought in a special counsel. Started forming different theories. And when he ran into problem in Ethiopia, they couldn't make it public because they believed he was living his private life. And when Kenya own happened, they didn't also make it public because they believe it was his private life he went through. And you're talking about a man who is having the destiny, who carries the destiny of millions of people. That is the person we're talking about. A man that carries the destiny of millions of people. The man that spoke and the entire continents of the globe shook. A man that awakened consciousness. An epicenter of wisdom. Who spoke and vibrated. But look at how sycophants and hypocrites reduced him. What that teaches is, it doesn't matter how powerful you think you are, how eloquent you think you are. If you are not critical about your precepts, your steps, who are around you, when you allow idiots to become your advisors, because you want to shield a private life, you will definitely go into disgrace. You will definitely go into disgrace. You will definitely, you see, you might be emotional as much as you want to be. Life is systemized. Life is systemized. There is no sentiment in game of life. If you plant negative, you will reap negative. If you plant positive, you will reap positive. That is how life is sequenced. No sentiment about it. You can, you can want to do your nonsense thing. That is your business. It doesn't change anything from reality of life. And that is one amazing thing about life. So when he ran into problem in Kenya, they also made it a person. Nobody raised alarm. Even when the sibling was in communication, according to him, with those that adopted him, he could not even say, okay, let me leak it to the members of the leadership. Most of you do not understand. Mazi Nnamdi is not the first person that the enemy has tried to intercept it. Mazi Nnamdi is not the only person in the leadership that enemy has tried to intercept it. Certain things are, for now, left at the level at which it is. For instance, when they blacklisted Chike Doziem as a terrorist, the Nigerian army published even his pictures in various checkpoints in Nigeria. Did the Chike Doziem made it a private thing? Did he keep quiet? Did he say, oh, let my siblings manage it? Chike Doziem is a public figure. He is a HOD of a movement of millions of people. What did Chike Doziem did? He raised the alarm that he has been blacklisted. Do you know what happened? The legal department of this movement came up and said, look, let us advise. What Nigeria is trying to do is when they blacklist you as a terrorist, they will start writing to Swiss government and say, this is him, this is his name, he's among the wanted terrorists. Yes, you are a Swiss citizen, but you don't know the bilateral relationship Nigeria has. You don't know the repatriation treaty Nigeria has with Switzerland. Nigeria can put up a diplomatic pressure on Switzerland, and Switzerland will trade you. It's a game of interest. Every country wants her interest. The legal department of the movement came and said, no, do you know what? Let us demolish, let us destroy that tag, because Nigeria wants to work with it. Nigeria is not stupid. If you keep quiet over that, they will now start working on the ground on Swiss government, and we run into problem. Even though Swiss does not repatriate you, Swiss might put you in bar. We're talking about diplomatic issue here. The legal department advised, and guess what? The legal department went into action and defeated Nigerian government in the court. And Chike Doziem got exonerated in Nigerian court and got the judgment filed. So whatever Nigeria is putting up to Swiss diplomatic, he has something to present that even the court, a competent court of jurisdiction in Nigeria, knows that the executive was reckless and disoriented in tagging him a terrorist. Look at what the court says. And he got it. And it is an IPOB document. It does not, that exoneration is not Chikedoziem's document. It is one of the documents that IPOB also work with as an institution. One of the leaders of this struggle was also about to be brought home. The Nigerian government did a whole lot of underground work to bring him home, to repatriate him. This thing have been happening since June last year. His passport was confiscated by the host government. His account freezed. This person did not make it a private matter. One of the members of the DOS. He did not make it a private matter. He raised the alarm to the leadership level. What the leadership did, leadership started putting up all the necessary, most of you do not understand that. Forget some of us you see on the media space. The radical elements. Forget us. We have resources, human resources. And when this person raised the matter to leadership level, what the leadership did was activate diplomatic pressures. Since June last year, you would have heard that one of the key members of the Directorate of State has been brought home. They put diplomatic pressure and start fighting it since June last year. Fierce diplomatic pressures. Do you know what? This person is now exonerated, totally exonerated. Would have just received that shock, but the leadership quietly fought it since last year. And of course, the enemies know what I'm saying about, because I know some of them listening. The leadership fought it. Now, if the leadership could fight for a dozen, if the leadership could fight for this person I'm talking about, how much more the leader? Are you not telling me the leader of this great movement, that the leadership just look elsewhere and he'll be brought to Nigeria in a mockery way and sent to Sokoto in a mockery way? If his subordinates, I'm talking about people under him, the attempt to rubbish them was fought and undermined by the leadership, how much more the leader himself? It's just that the leader consciously walked out of the circle of protection he established. He's the one that established the star circle of protection. He's the one that established that circle of protection. Him himself also walked out of that circle of protection. And the rest became a story of pity, mockery, and the begging. Because I'm talking about subordinates to him. Now, anybody could experience this. Anybody could experience this, especially when you neglect the principles of leadership. When you start moving the path that undermines leadership quality, you will see it. No spirit will stop you from experiencing it. Life is built on check and balance. And today, people are more interested in, let us concentrate on Onyendo coming out. People have refused to ask questions. People have refused to learn. What lesson are we going to learn? People, People say, no, don't discuss. Let us not discuss the lesson that this teaches us. No, let us be shouting, Nnamdi will come out so soon. Nnamdi will come out soon. Let us be shouting those funny mantra. Yes, most of you subscribe, into that mantra of jokers. Mantra of jokers. A lot of you subscribing to that mantra of, Confucianists. People who are confused. Let us concentrate on Nnamdi coming out. Let us focus there. Are you mad? You have to learn. When things happen to you, sit back and ask yourself, where did I get it wrong? Why must this happen to me? What did I not do well? You don't tell me. I don't know about others, and I'm not saying that my own perception to life is the best. But you don't tell me, for instance, that I have inferno outbreak. I'm in fire outbreak. You're telling me to move on. I shouldn't ask myself, what did I do? Was it out of my carelessness that the place got burnt? What did I not do well? And you say, oh, move on. Move on to where? Please, where are you moving on? If we do not learn from what happened to Nnamdi, some of our leaders will also fall into that mess tomorrow. Or you don't think that Nigeria has a project of, if possible, let them bring back all the members of the DOS, bring back the leaders in diaspora, the national coordinators. Oh, you think Nigeria does not have such plan? Nigeria does not think about that? Of course. So you must ask yourself, what actually happened? How did they got him? Who played what? Discussing that does not mean that the institution, which is IPOB, is not doing other things. I want people to understand it. IPOB is an institution. Yes, she's departmentalized. She is departmentalized. IPOB might be talking something in the media. The legal department is seriously doing something. The diplomatic department are also doing something. It does not mean that because somebody is broadcasting on Radio Biafra that is what IPOB is doing, the comprehensive IPOB is doing at that very moment. No. What you're just hearing is an adjoint, a section, a branch of IPOB working. Other branches are busy doing their things. The ones who are sending correspondences are doing. The ones who are doing all the necessary, other departments are naturally flowing on their own frequency, and that is what institution is all about. That is what institution. Well, you don't say, oh, because of China Samori is broadcasting now, that at this very moment, that what IPOB is doing is broadcasting. No, he's broadcasting at that moment, doing his own. Other departments are working different things. That is institution. That is how institution functions. So you don't say, oh, by the time we start learning a lesson from what happened to you, oh, we are being distracted, we are not making a move. Who told you? If personally myself, I do not know what happened, then my book is just weightless. I should have a section in the book, which I know there are other people's writing. One of the sessions of the book should tell us how for 5 years, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu's trip to Kenya undermined IPOB. That is what, if you don't want history to be harsh on you, you must be critical to yourself. If you are not critical to yourself, history will be critical to you. You must understand, if you do not want history to be critical on you, you must be critical to yourself. If you don't want history to evaluate you, you better evaluate yourself on time. Because there will definitely be a session, offline and online, where the Kenya debacle will be extensively discussed. People will talk about it. AI will discuss it. AI currently might give you peripheral knowledge, but as time progresses, issues will be unraveling. You cannot erase the Kenya factor in the history of the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra. I must tell you, you cannot. Because Kenya factor played a role. And also is a lesson to each and every one of us to understand that if you like control billions of people, if you carelessly walk into the enemy trap, you'll be closed. Especially when you miscalculatedly walk into the enemies. Now, something happened and people are trying to build. Remember, this will be a calling program. Something happened and people are trying to build a sort of, if there's anything Onyendu needs now, I must tell you sincerely, Onyendu has to come down from his high roof and understand that the mantra of him thinking he's, on advantage, that he's on advantage against his enemy, those holding him. Onyendu has to discard, as in decommission that in the minds of people. Onyendu does not have the card. Donald Trump will always tell you do not have the card. He does not currently have the card. And one of those things that is really hampering him is some of the minions around him are not telling him the reality on ground. They are not letting him understand that people are fed up with, talking hard when you have played into the enemy's hand. The minions refuse to let him know. There's nothing bad for one to run into problem. There's nothing bad. There's nothing bad. After all, we are all humans. Nobody is infallible. The concept of infallibility is not for human beings. But there is something bad that you have been flooded. You have been, walked over. And you want to still be sounding tough deceptively to those who believe in you. You have to let them know that, look, do everything possible to move on and succeed. Because at this very time, I always say Onyendu has two options. Concede to Nigerian demand or serve. And one of those conceptions he must make to the night is to destroy Ipob and Biafran question. Yes. That is what it is. If you like, you can talk rubbish about this. That is your business. Because he does not have the card. And I know his siblings will do everything to make sure he comes out. But the difficult thing they have now is that the process of destroying IPOB seems not to be surviving. If you watch the 100 Millions mantra, that one is not tough. They are in disarray because we got the intelligence of the condition that the government have presented, that he must destroy the movement. If he wants to come out, the government is not, they are not joking over this. They are not joking over this. If you think government is kidding over this, you're joking. And even the lawyers, some of these minions, everybody is trying to do away, let us destroy IPOB. They have these deceptive tendencies in their mind. Let us destroy IPOB. By the time we destroy IPOB, then he comes out, he can start again. Let the government see that IPOB is destroyed. Then if he comes out, he goes back to radio and start gathering people. And we say, no, such a thing it doesn't happen. It can't. Nobody can concede to that. Nobody can concede to that. Because the movement is an institution. It's bigger than Onyendu himself. IPOB is bigger than Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is the founder, the leader, unarguably, of the indigenous people of Biafra. But you cannot say that he has the solemn right to decommission it. No, he does not. Because IPOB is just like a company that has gone public. Whenever a company goes public, it does no longer belong to the director. And this is one thing most of you do not understand. You must understand that. When you have a company at the level of sole proprietorship, I'm telling you, at the level of sole proprietorship, the company belongs to the founder. But immediately the founder of a company goes public, go to stock and say, I want public to buy certain percentage of share. That company is now public enterprise. The owner, the founder cannot come up and say, I funded, I want to end this company. He doesn't have the legal rights. And that's exactly what I'm just trying to use a small interpretation to make you understand how things is. IPOB has gone public. IPOB has metamorphosed into a public interest, a public asset. It does not belong to. It belongs to us and our generation coming. Because what we are building is a movement that is going to transit into a state actor. ANC in South Africa started as a movement, transited into management of South Africa. And tell me, if ANC was not conscious, was not protected, was not jealously guided, would you have an ANC that is currently running South Africa? It wouldn't have happened. In fact, if ANC was not built as an institution, if ANC was not built as an institution, do you think that South Africans would even have confidence to entrust them with power and say, apartheid has gone, run this? Okay, if ANC was destroyed, and perhaps Nelson Mandela established 100 men. Do you think the 100 men in South Africa would have been so consolidated, institutionalized to manage South Africa today? So, when people talk about IPOB is not just what you think about. It is a large movement. It is a legacy of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, unarguably, because you cannot talk of IPOB in absence of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. Kanu's role, a pivotal role he played. But what we are saying, he's already captured out of miscalculations. He's already captured. He's a captive. And we're saying no. And when a man is captured and the man is, taking hostage, he's desperate for freedom, he can easily throw in the towel. You don't blame him, he's a human. And what we're saying here is a human factor. Any day we want to talk about angels, we talk about angels. Currently, what I'm discussing are 100% facts, humanity-based facts. Any day we want to talk about Angel Michael and Angel Gabriel, spirit beings, we talk. I'm talking about Mazi Nnamdi Kanu as a human. So, he can decide to throw the towel. He's a human. But what we are saying, you cannot destroy the movement you found. This is your legacy. We understand the pains. We understand the penury. We understand the sacrifices. Of course, out of your miscalculation, because it was purely miscalculation, out of trying to live a life that ought not to be for a leader, out of attempt to, do shady things in Kenya that ought not even be your destination, you run into problems. And we're saying, good. You ran into problem. Let us do, all we can do to secure your legacy. Because this legacy transports the destiny of millions of people. Yeah, it does. Frankly, it does. Okay. Then we move on the issue of the wife visited. Onyendu, the wife visited. You see, one of those things Onyendu most, I wish somebody would get this clip across Onyendu so that he takes time to work. One of those things Onyendu should end around him is the idea of multiplicity of support. It's definitely not a wise step. You see, it is a natural thing. When you have multiple, for instance, when you have a multiple group you support, you end up running into confusion. Onyendu has virtually supported a lot of things. Anything that comes across him, he has supported, and that has not only undermined his freedom, it has also put up issue of doubt amongst these people. For instance, when they marketed Simon Ekpa to him, Onyendu supported him. And at the end, he started regretting ever doing that, even saying that he never committed any crime. Rather, the state used the crime of Simon Ekpa on him. There was this group known as Unseen Hand. Most of you must have forgotten them because Ego Habula. unseen hand in Canada. In fact, Aloy was an expert who was really making them. It seems their money has finished and they have gone underground. When unseen hand came, Aloy also marketed unseen hand to Nnamdi. Nnamdi also accepted and supported unseen hand. Sadly, it seems the unseen hand money has finished. But for a long time now, we are not hearing unseen hands any longer. What is it called? The Rising Sun came. The marketed Rising Sun came. He also accepted. The other group also came. He also. Now, let me now tell you something. Look at every group Onyendo has supported aside those he founded, aside the group he founded, which is Ipob. Look at their lifespan. Autopilot never lasted. Rather, they ended up bringing shame and bad name on him. Yes, Autopilot never lasted. Within a period of time, they disappeared. And all their crimes, they piled it on Nnamdi Kanu. In fact, as a matter of fact, most of you might not know, although since last year, the leadership has been doing a whole lot of PR to resuscitate the image of Ipob. There are places in Biafran land, you call Nnamdi Kanu, it sounds to them as a man who brought war to them, courtesy of the atrocities committed by Simon Ekpa and his boys. So they believe Simon Ekpa happens to be Nnamdi Kanu's boy. And of course, the lawyer said he was. The siblings' actions prove he was. But what both the lawyer, the siblings, and even Nnamdi have never acknowledged is that what their boy committed should not be attributed to them. But I wonder how funny people can think. If you're an associate to a criminal, invariably it's assumed that you know what he was doing. If my friend is a criminal, and I always talk about him, come on national TV, tell my lawyer to talk about him. What that means is that I'm proud of the association. So if tomorrow I say, oh, what he did, oh, I don't know, I never knew he was like this. I'm just deceiving myself. Yes, I'm just deceiving myself. I'm just deceiving myself. And that's why, there are certain things we will say when we are trying to push that Onyendo and Simon Ekpa has nothing in common. The government will be laughing at us. Because they understand secret discussions. They know the Secret Service, the wiretape, they know the level at which they discuss. So when we are pushing the narrative that Onyendo, whatever autopilots are doing has nothing, the government look at us as fools. They just look at us and say, what do this one? It becomes so difficult, so shameful to push the narrative. When we are harsh on Tinubu has done this, the same government will look at us and laugh and say, these ones are fools. Are the siblings and not the lawyers not in parley with Sheyi Tinubu? Do you know how many times they have met? Do you know how many deals they have reached? It's just that when they finish reaching deal, Sheyi will just call them fools and move on. And they will start shouting on newspaper that Tinubu refused to keep his own part of the agreement. Some of these politicians look at us as fools. They believe we are talking what we don't know. Because these people who tell you we are bad, they meet with us, they parley with us. For instance, Onyendo told somebody that it was Dave Umahi who asked him to bring Simon Ekpa to be a member of a DOS, to represent Ebony. Even when in the DOS circle, Mazi Nnamdi is from Ebony. But because Dave Umahi allegedly was said to be supporting financially, then he believed he has the temerity to ask Onyendu to bring Simon Ekpa. And whenever you ask Onyendu, what the defense Onyendu always build is that you would have brought him in and manage him. How do you manage an impostor? How do you manage an infiltrator? Do you think he's coming within the circle to joke? I don't understand. So, you mean Dave Umahi will give you a boy to deliver work for him? Then you are blaming the member of the DOS. We are not smart. They are not smart. They would have bring Simon Ekpa inside and manage him. An infiltrator, because they read management science on infiltrators. I don't understand. If Dave Umahi gave you him, he is there to deliver the mind of Dave Umahi. You should know that. You should know that. And that was why Simon Ekpa could insult anybody, but he's very, very careful on Dave Umahi. He doesn't. But he knows his source. So you can't tell the DOS. So if you had a parley with Dave Umahi, it shouldn't, if he's undermining to the interests of the movement, the members of the DOS should stand it down. And I love what they did. I support what they did. Because there's no how you will tell me, they were not smart. They would have bring in Simon Ekpa and manage him. Nonsense. Who told you that? Who told you that? That can never. Do you mean Simon was coming ignorantly? He's coming for a purpose. He did his job. And this is where the job is. He messed a lot of things up. Painted the image of ESN. A noble defense part. You, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, built. You know, sometimes it's unbelievable how a man could fight his legacy, fight against what he established, under the pretense of, the members of the US are not listening to me. But, you know, factually, we have seen that everything they rejected in the name of you said was right. They took the right decision. Rejecting the idea of not getting Simon Ekpa was the right decision. Rejecting the idea of not meddling on finance, according to the story, the letter, the barrister job, Nemeke Jofor wrote. And we now realize that even the finance you asked them not to meddle was managed by your younger brother, Kanu. To the point that because your wife opinionated on issue, you must know, you can't deny not knowing. Kanu stopped the payment of the boys' school fees. It's outrageous. It is really, really outrageous. Really, really outrageous. Why we are saying this is for every one of us to understand. Because if you don't learn this, you keep on thinking the world exists at your level. You must be sophisticated. Any day you come out and say, you want to be a leader of, you must avoid certain things. And of course, I stormed into a clip one boy was making, and the boy was talking all manners of nonsense, even saying, people can be terrible. The little boy was saying that even the wife of Onyendu did not come to Sokoto And I laughed. Do you know one funny thing? I find it difficult to believe that the insult, the attacks meted on the wife of Onyendu, that Onyendu did not endorse it. I find it difficult to believe that. I find it absolutely difficult to believe that. You might want us to, sound politically correct on it. But the truth is, I find it difficult to believe that Onyendu did not endorse it. Honestly. Because I discovered that, there's this argument people come up and say, why would she be hated? Why would she be hated by all her siblings? And I laughed. Why would she be hated by all the family members? Let me tell you. In my own family, I have a cousin brother. And my cousin brother, for the past 10 years, he has not been living with the wife. As a matter of fact, when they newly got married, I was living with them. That was when I got admission to study at University of Port Harcourt. So I was living with them in Port Harcourt. And the lady in question happens to be working in bank. When my cousin brother got married to her, something happened at that earlier stage. When my cousin brother got married to that girl, there was this mentality that the lady's salary should automatically belongs to him, meaning that whatever this lady's salary, whatever she earns, she should be using it to take care of him, at the earlier stage. And do you know what? Him himself also marketed that idea to the family members of his that Amakwame go lorige na salary. That kind of thing. Amakwame go lorige na salary. And by then I was so disgusting with that. This my cousin brother happens to be a pastor. So probably he married a girl for the girl to be the hen that lays egg for him. And his own family bought into that idea. And of course, this lady never bought into that idea because she also has her own family that also trained her. And the war started. Because the lady refused to condescend to that they wanted her. War started and they hated her. From top to bottom, they hated her. To the point that when she gave birth, a daughter, my cousin brother left her and ran away for over 10 years. Left her with the baby and me. She started pampering the baby, suffering to date. Now, if somebody said, oh, she's a bad woman, that is why all the family hated. Did you see that it's because of her resistance? It's because of her resistance to what is not normal, to abnormality, that she was, I'm talking about my own family, that she was hated. And the wife of Onyendu have been saying that, when you look at that woman, you understand she has pride. She has pride. She does not, she is not like some of these low-lifers who are jobless, doing nothing, and have no local standing. And ordinarily, they will not like such a woman because she is not condescending. You might like sycophants, you might like hypocrites, you might like people who will not look at you and tell you that what you're doing is bad. Because you have evolved yourself that whatever you do should not be questioned. That is okay. But somebody said no, because Asana Ebuanezisi, she considers the place of karma. And some minions will come over and say, why will everybody hate? And I ask question. In fact, the in-law of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu made a post 2 days ago. Somebody commented on which he subscribed. And do you know what they said? They said, Uchechi Kanu should know that the son is not the first son of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. That the son is coming from the in-law, which means the leader also have other women or have another wife or another family. And when you want to talk about this, people will say it's a private life. You don't know what you're doing. You absolutely do not know what you're doing. If you're leading me, I must know whom you are. Just the way, before my leader should entrust responsibility to me, he should do a background check about me. Except you people, what you people are doing is just one village nonsense. If you're in a serious business of freedom fighting, you see, you cannot be dating. When you are dating, intelligence agencies know you. As I am, secret services know me. What comes into my account, the purpose at which it comes, how it goes, no. I can think I'm smart. I'm just smart in my own world. I'm just smart in my own world. But in the larger and broader world, you are not smart. You are not hidden. You are known. Because when some of these things come up, some of you will say, it's a private life. You're gossiping. Are you reasonable? You're telling me Donald Trump's family that he is a president and American Secret Service is also watching what the children are doing. You're telling me that Biden's family, who happens to be a president, American institution was also watching him, watching his family. You're telling me Americans are gossiping. Or you're telling me that Spanish Prime Minister, whose wife did one or two things, a sitting Prime Minister, and the institution of Spanish government is prosecuting her. You are telling me that the Spanish people are gossiping. No wonder black race is a terrible place to inhabit. That is what it is. So, because of our time, because I have to let people make a whole lot of calls, it is important to understand. If we do not have any reputation, any integrity to push, Nigeria will be using it to undermine where we are going to. If we don't have any reputation, we have no integrity to push. If we are not a beacon of hope if we are opposite of what we are preaching, it's a matter of time. I'm telling you. Nigeria and her allies will always be using it to undermine our journey. You can talk nonsense you want to talk. That is a fact, a strong-born fact. Nobody that, pushes a double standard that goes far. Absolutely none. Go and check, go and verify history. Go and research on history. And finally, for those of us who would care to know, you see, IPOB has come to stay. It is a legacy of Mazi Nnamdi. Nobody is ruling out that fact. And you cannot say because it is Mazi Nnamdi, nobody can talk about areas he aired. The problem we have today is as a result of Mazi Nnamdi miscalculation in 2021. And that is a very strong undermining factor. Now, for those of us, it is important to understand, for those of us who care to know, you see, this idea that most of us have evolved with, I know so many of us, you are in the freedom fighting for, survival of our people. Is a noble cause. But that does not mean you become jobless. Very, very important. You cannot be jobless and say, I'm fighting for Biafra. No. We must engage, economically engage, economic usefulness. Don't just slide. Don't just sit idly. Fold your hands. You must, as a matter of fact, like the leadership talks about agriculture, try as much as possible to engage. In fact, agro-business is very, very fruitful. I'm a farmer. I always say it's one of the businesses I do. I do farm. Very, very important. Engage in farm. Those of us who can do business, engage in businesses. Engage in business where necessary. Don't fold your hands and say somebody tell you this will happen tomorrow and this. No. You must be engaging. Ask yourself, you see, if all of us fold our hands, if all of us go into, self-deception of not being, useful, economically useful, how do we even do the contribution that sustain the struggle? How do we do this? I know many of us who have quietly returned back home. They establish farms and they are making a whole lot of money. I know some of us. Before this current xenophobia started, I know one of us. He stays in South Africa. He came down to open a farm somewhere in Delta. And he's doing well. I know many. 4 years ago, some of us came down from UAE, opened a plantain. They bought reasonable number of lands, opened plantain plantations, and they are doing well today. They are doing well today. One head of plantain is sold not less than 6,000. And you know, this person I'm telling you have over 2,000 stands. And he's making his millions quietly. There is, you see, when you have something doing, when you engage yourself, there are certain things you cannot find yourself doing. Why you see all this nonsense happening, especially around the siblings, is because they choose. They have been so much corrupted with the idea that free money is coming. And when it's not coming, you see high level of ranting and agitations around. So let none of us, when you have economic independence or relative economic independence, there is high proximity that you cannot condescend to certain things. There are certain things you cannot condescend to. There are certain things that cannot freak you out because you have something doing. There is no justification to say because you're fighting. You can see somebody was on camera begging for, did they say 130 or 150 to change his phone screen? Because he has so much deceived and programmed his mind that he has nothing to do other than dependency mindset. It doesn't make sense. In fact, such a person is vulnerable to, that's why tomorrow he can lash somebody. Next tomorrow the person he lashes gives him 30,000 naira. He turns and becomes, because when you do not have sustainable, if you're idle, you are vulnerable. You are just like a body that does not have defensive cells. Or weak cells. You are vulnerable to anything that comes. Anybody that sustains you within a time, owns your voice. So I want to thank every one of us. What I'm saying in nutshell is that please, let us engage hand, mind, and otherwise as far as this struggle is concerned. If we are not heading to a destination, I don't see reason why that the Nigerian state will be spending billions to undermine this struggle. They know that we have what it takes. Very, very important to deliver. Very, very important. So let us be gainful. From the time I joined this struggle, I have never lost the idea of anybody paying me 1 naira. Even when I was, some of you can ask the likes of, Iwala Chibeze, Ngozi Chukwu. When I was even broadcasting on the TV, I would finish my transport business and travel to the States, sleep there the next day, and do my own role the next day I leave. Cost of my own transport. Because I have developed this mindset from ab initio. So let us try as much as possible to be useful to ourselves. Very, very important. So at this very moment, I want to open the line for those of you who you can see the tagged number there. For those of you who would love to call in, that is the number to call for and for contribution. Very, very important. So let us, because we have a S program today, very, very important. We have S program today. So, let us see what we can do. I think we have a first caller here. Have a first caller. Caller, good afternoon from here.
Are you hearing me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. but I want to make a comment before I ask the question, because the comments will lead to questions. So, you made mention of autopilot that they have been, that we are not hearing about that. I wanted to make some comment. I will tell you that the debris of autopilot are still here. You understand? Because people supported autopilot and they are still close to going down. Kanu has a very glaring evidence that he supported Simon Abba to do what he does. But that is that. So I want to use that to ask a question. Do you think, because they use the activities of Simon Abba to jail our leader? So the question now is this: do you think that the life imprisonment can be upgraded to death sentence if they see other glaring proof that can lead to that?
Okay.
That's the first question.
Okay. Please don't go, because you might also be forced to ask for that one. I hope you are still here.
Yeah, I have second question too.
Okay. Okay. Do I attend to this, or you want to ask the two?
Yes, you have to. Yes, attend to it, because it will now lead to the second one.
Okay. Okay. Well, first of all, I'm not a lawyer, but I know why you asked that question. Can it be upgraded to death sentence? Because I believe you have also come across, there was a particular document I saw, a particular judgment where somebody was given a life sentence and the person went to appeal. I think it should be on Nigeria weekly report, law weekly report, you know. Somebody versus somebody. I think I came across. The judge was arguing that when somebody is sentenced to life, you can only upgrade it to death. That when somebody is sentenced to death, that you cannot bring it to life imprisonment. So what means that the judgment can only be intensively progressive. You get what I'm saying? I read such a thing in Nigeria's law weekly report, something like that. Yes, I'm not a lawyer, but what I'm just discussing passively. Now, on the ground that if they present more evidence, for me, this is my personal opinion. For me, I think Onyendu should activate negotiation. Considering the system, why I think so is that why I think he should activate the process of negotiating, which I think he's already negotiating. But why I support that is this: you're dealing with a system that the judiciary is under the pocket of the executive. You get what I'm saying? Which implies that the system is so porous, is so corrupt, that the chances might be difficult. So, but the question is now, in course of negotiating with them, remember, the person you are going to negotiate, because he is not going to negotiate from the point of strength. You know that?
Yes, I know that.
He's not negotiating from point of strength. He's negotiating from the point of weak, in the sense that he's already convicted. So the other party might want and said, okay, one of those things we want you to do is to decommission. You have to decommission the movement. And it's going to be a difficult one. It's going to be a difficult one. Why it's going to be a difficult one is that there is an existing suspicion between the leader and the leadership.
Yes.
So even though there is going to be a kind of understanding where the leadership will say, okay, our leader, for the sake of your freedom, can you tell them we are not going to decommission outrightly, but can we step down from talking about external sovereignty to internal sovereignty? You know what I mean? Can we move from breaking away to semi-sovereignty, which has to do with regional system? being in the same unity. But that can only happen when the leader himself and the leadership have a superb understanding. Because in negotiation, when somebody say, this is my position, that does not mean absolute position. You know that?
Yes.
You can see in the case of Iran and US, ongoing negotiation. US is gradually adjusting. Iran is also gradually adjusting. People might start from peak and start moving towards anti-climax in negotiation. But because there is this mindset existing within the circle of Onyendu that he can negotiate and just give order and it will be carried out. But that is not reality on ground. It's not a reality on ground. Because leadership is not disposed for you to give them order and they take it without examining it. And it's a difficult situation. So Onyendu has to come down from that high roof and start saying to these people, look, we are discussing. I'm engaging with these people. Or I want to engage with these people. Can we consider, okay, for the fact that historically speaking, Ojukwu agreed with these people on 3 R's: reconciliation, reconstruction, and rehabilitation. That was not implemented. So we might be skeptical to say even whatever we agree with these people is not right. Can we ask for a third party to guarantee whatever that is agreed? Okay, let's get United States as a security guarantor to whatever we are going to agree. So that what if we say, okay, we are not asking for total exit, we want external sovereignty, mean being in Nigeria but control to a reasonable height our resources, and is documented, we say, okay, US should put pressure on the parties for implementation. Do you understand me? These things can happen when the leader and the leadership are working in tandem. You know, most of us are thinking is a ranting story. We are talking about a very serious state business. A very serious state business. The state will not trust Mazi Nnamdi Kanu if he's not. In fact, the more they start getting the signal that he's no longer in control, he gives order and that order is not effective. When they are properly convinced at that very time, they can eliminate him because they know that he will not have people to make the land ungovernable. They are studying the whole trajectory. Don't make mistake about that. So, and that's why we are doing our best to tell also our leader to understand the implication of what is that. Because the sycophants and the minions cannot tell him, they don't have the boldness. In fact, they don't even understand. They will think it's something of clap hand. But, you know, we are then not clapping hand. Onyendu will come out tomorrow. Binta say, mommy Binta say, Oga happy next week. And today, this is where it is. So, can I go for your second question? But do you actually understand this?
Yes. I release my second question.
Go ahead.
Are you hearing me?
Yeah.
Okay. The reason why I ask that is that I am hearing some rumors. I call it rumors because I've not seen proper evidence towards it. I hear rumors that the 100 men are trying to recruit some of our youth to form another army, whatever, you understand? So what I'm trying to say is that if they can use what someone else did with whatever arm, whatever he's doing, then this second group of people are also being linked to him. So eventually, it can also lead to something that will dig more into his getting bit of doom. Do you get what I'm trying to say? Are you understanding where I'm going? So those rumors is what I am afraid of, that they can use it as cement another government, because it's a very dangerous one.
Let me tell you something. You might not understand that happened. You see, do you know why Simon Ekpa factor did not consume our land? It's simple. At a time, the leadership decided to open up the information of the culprits on air. You get what I'm saying?
Sorry, let me move because there's noise.
Okay, you can. You see,
you can continue talking, I'm hearing.
Okay, why Simon Ekpa factor did not consume our land is this. You know, all that Simon Ekpa was doing, the likes of our law, he wanted IPOB to take responsibility. And the reason why his lives wanted IPOB to take responsibility because they believe that if IPOB is taking responsibility, if IPOB is working in tandem with such rascality, that Nigerian government will find it difficult to, quell the menace. The Nigerian government will find it difficult to go after, the whole mess. And the leadership said, no, we can't take responsibility of activities that undermine the safety of our people. Yes. So what am I trying to say? If you like, you get 1 million men. If you like, you get 1 million men. The honest truth is, anything that is going to jeopardize, because one thing our people should understand is that whenever there is conflict, there is always a false flag. When Simon Ekpa was doing what he was doing, the Nigerian state also used that opportunity to also do their nonsense. The haters of Nnamdi and their investment used that opportunity to, under that it was IPOB activity, use that to also cause a whole lot of havoc. For instance, Gulak was killed, which was purely a political assassination. But why could they carry out that assassination within that time? Because they believe that that very time was rowdy. So you can do anything under false flag and get away with it. What I'm saying is that if the 100, or what you said, I've also heard it. But I believe the intelligent capacity of the leadership strongly. I must tell you that. But for the fact that they are not going to get collaboration with the leadership to cause that menace, it's not going to work. It's not going to happen. And let me tell you, there's this mindset those around Onyen do always push. They believe that when there is rampage in our land, everywhere is going haywire, there is chaos, that then Nigerian government will be under pressure to release Onyendu. They are not even smart. They are not even smart. You have the major entities to get sympathy from. The domestic front. The domestic front is our land. When you pillage the land, when you destroy the land, the people will lose confidence in what you're pursuing. And in such doing, every IPOB member will be at risk. Because when the people cannot protect them, they are vulnerable. They are literally vulnerable. So the 100 men and whatever they are recruiting is not going to stand. It's not going to stand. If they do it, the leadership will use our intelligence capability to fish them out. If anybody thinks he's going to set the land ablaze, because you know what happened? When they set this artificial crisis, some of the politicians, the governor will be calling them, what can we do? They say, and you see them cashing out from it. It doesn't work that way. You don't do freedom fighting that way. That is criminal fighting, not freedom fighting. Mazi,
I appreciate you. You know why I ask this question is that I have some presumptions of things that can go wrong at any time. You understand? So that's why I ask questions, so that I can get some clarification and add it to the one I already presume. You understand? That would be the outcome of it. So I listen to you a lot of the time.
Thanks so much. But let me tell you, logically speaking, in fact, let me say this on air so that people will understand. Do you know how to identify lies when people are giving reports? Do you know, especially reports that come with figures, do you know how to identify lies? When somebody said to you that an accident happened and 10 people died, That report is 40. Do you know why it's 40?
No.
The figure is an even number. When somebody reports to you and tell you that people were killed in Benue and that the number of people that were died were 200 is a pure lie.
Yes.
You don't have. So if somebody said to you that he has recruited 100 men, not even 101, not even 98, not even 77, but 100, an even number is a joke, is a horse. I must tell you. Do you understand me? You can knock off for 10 and have exactly 10. It doesn't work that way. You can knock off for 100 and have exactly 100. So that identity is already shows that is a fraud.
Okay.
Ndeo.
Okay. Thank you, man. I have other questions, but I'll leave it for next time. Other people should come up and talk.
It's all right. I appreciate your call.
Thank you. I appreciate it. So.
Okay. You heard what our sister asked. Most of us do not should understand that the good of our land is paramount. The well-being of our land is paramount. Okay, caller, good evening. Sorry, good afternoon from here.
Good afternoon, Mazi.
You're highly welcome.
Mazi, why I called is about it's a kind of a question
Go ahead.
Of the recent broadcast you made about 2 days ago concerning the wife of Mazi. I want to ask a question. Does it mean that the leadership will allow such things going on?
I didn't listen to the program anyway.
Yes, in that program he's saying that Lord Kanu is no longer the wife of Martin and the Kanu. One. That she's a prostitute and his name now is what did he even say that is Uchechi Anyam. Something like that. That we should, that those that are helping her financially should stop. So, I don't know if the leadership is aware of it or.
Well, I don't, to the best of my knowledge, I don't know whether the members of the leadership know about it, but let's be honest, this is not the first time the woman has been dragged. Simon Ekpa called her all manners of name, and his adherents, they called her things I cannot even mention here. You know, it's quite unfortunate that, for instance, nobody can marry my partner. Nobody, not even my siblings, can talk down on my wife and get away with it. In fact, as a matter of fact, I so much build a circle around my wife, even to my parents. They have a limit at which, you know. So if Onyendu is okay with that, I think Onyendu should be the one that should be concerned about the insult on the wife, not even the leadership. Because Uchechi is owned by Mazi Nnamdi Kanu first, before being the wife of the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra. So if the leader himself is okay, because this is not the first time the woman has been insulted by those who claim they listen to Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, they hear him, he speaks to them. So if he also maintain level of communication with those people, and those who could come out, insult the wife, insult the sensitivity of his family, well, I wish him good luck. That's all I will say.
Okay. My next one is a kind of advice to DOS.
Go ahead.
They have been doing a lot. And I want the DOS, please, if the issue surrounding Mazi Nnamdi Kanu creating another group apart from the structure of IPOB, which he is a member and part of, will distract this movement, I think we should just sideline him and continue, because he is just one man and not the whole land.
Well, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is not just a member, he's the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra. Very, very important to understand that. He's not just a member, he is a leader, so he has a very key place in the struggle. Ndewo. Okay, we have another caller here. Of course, it's a regular caller. Mazi Ndewo. Can you hear me? Yes, I can hear you. Good afternoon.
Yeah, Mazi. Yeah, good afternoon. You know, each time we call like this, sometimes the Nigerian, what Nigeria has been known for, you do not know if it's what's the problem or your own phone or even whatever. So, you know, Nigeria is known all manner of things.
Exactly.
We are talking of hell. We that is in the zoo. We are already in hell.
Of course.
So much sun, no lights, no infrastructure, no hospital. Nothing. Even we as individuals have been able to, like, you know, salvage our situations without the help of the government. We don't have government. What we have is a bunch of groups sitting in Abuja waiting for Mazi. What I want to say is that why, if you find out the Igbos have been more, as the most suffered in Nigeria, and why is that? Because we are not sophisticated when it comes to the way of using rules. We are not practically reasonable. You know, when once you buy something to an Igbo man, he just wants to go and start, you know, running it. Without, okay, let me give you this incident. In my place of business,
okay,
some black guys, some white men came around. They said they want to shoot films. Everybody was just after how much would they pay? How much would they pay? I was telling them that if you make use of my space here, I have to know the content of what you're trying to shoot. We are looking at me like a foolish person. And when I even tried to explain to them, none of them have the patience to even hear me out. But I have to know, because let it not be a story that is even tempting.
A stigma. Yeah, a stigma.
You know? But you find out that these things have been the reason why we are suffering in Nigeria. You know, this whole Mazi and the target is that to the leadership, how they have been able to, as in their maturity in handling it. And anybody that says we shouldn't talk about it, I will ask him that, you want to go to a barber salon, you say, hey, don't bump me, because you're new, you're learning. But in the next 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks or 1 month, you see the person and you now say to your head, who did he use to learn? It is other people. Are you understanding?
Yes. Yes. That is wonderful. I wish network can allow him.
And our own case is not different. If you watch what the DOS have been doing in the section, since the inception of all of these things, you have no any other thing than to, you know, praise them, because these people have, you know, targeted this. I'm telling you, even what the Nigerian government is doing, it is being written down from 1 to 100. They are just bringing it as one after the other. And I'm telling you that they perfectly did this thing. The lapses that they can find, especially when it comes to finance. Because you look at Mazi Nnamdi, most of us, even I called him this God shit. He's a human being. And that he was able to exploit or do what he did, it was the help of millions of us that died. And or somebody somewhere doing something. 28 men died in the house of Mazi Nnamdi. That 28 men, many of you don't even know their names, neither do you know their faces. That is how dedicated every one of us has been all over the world. Even when you talk about this farming, Do you know how many people that have left everything that they are doing all over the world and came back, and they are seeing the dividends?
Of course,
And
I know many.
What is happening to us is natural, but what we need to do is to see the as in the advantages, and see the need to make amends, because the Nigerian state is very, very vulnerable. What has been saving them is most of our gullibility and this money issue. Most of us are not matured. Do you know that there are ways you can even be an infiltrator or be a payer with dignity. Look at all the hope of the Nigerian government have used in this very struggle. None of them want anything. Even a lawyer, Jimakro, he can't even stand in the camera and say anything. It's just all in social media. Because they go out or they give them themselves everything. They sell without reserve. It is very, very... Look at most of the Yorubas that have sold or parlayed with the government. They still have some level of reserve. But our own is that we go with this jealousy, we go with this envy.
Competition.
So much hatred that we don't even know that even the person you are going to sell this person to doesn't even like you. By the time he sees you finish, he dumps you. And I want to use this last comment to encourage every of my comrades that everything that these people have thrown to us has been, a source of, advancement, a source of, readjusting and, repositioning ourselves. And the 100 men cannot be, different. You see how Ekberima came and he saw how he left.
Mm-hmm.
Even there are some of the stories that if I keep hearing, you keep reducing, I don't know, the statement you said that Mazi and the Kanu should come down from where he is, I think it is one of the best things he should do. And I don't know if these years of incarceration has really, and that is why it is dangerous to have sycophants around you. Because there is sometimes you keep hearing a particular thing and it makes, as in it builds you up. You even take out some of your level of, intelligence.
Bullshit.
Some things that comes from the Sokoto, sometimes it gets me irritated. I don't even believe that somebody like Mazi can be caning so something. But be that it may be, we have died, we are so much committed in this very struggle. And if we stop now, I'm telling you that what we are going through will be a child's play, that what will befall us. And you know that the Sokoto and the Fulani and their jihadists, they are just aborting away. They are even inside. What is just holding them is the presence of Ipob. And we must not let that.
Exactly.
And there is, I love your this thing, but you should know that we are a May, and this is a time of reflection, remembering, and also mourning. So we should also talk about our brothers and sisters that have died.
Yes, that's why we are trying to. Yeah, that is why we are rounding up on this area of topic. This is just the early part of the May. The leadership will be bringing up a program at official gazetted level, and we'll be running on it. Very, very important. Thanks for reminding us that once again. Thanks so much. Okay, that is really great contribution from our brother. We must teach ourselves. We must be honest to ourselves. Very, very important. I always say this for those of us who care to listen. What you and I are doing is a selfless duty. We are not doing it because we own our lives to say, we must be here, to see. We always say we will see Biafra, yes, but it's a selfless, the life, none of us own the life. So it's a selfless service. If we understand it from that angle, then we understand that it is a noble thing to do what we are doing. It's a noble thing. And for our leader, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, who have done amazingly great in, bringing this level of consciousness in us, what we are saying is this. When, we get slided as a result of circumstances of life. Let us not keep on, degenerating into oblivion, because that is not going to help matters. Very, very important. So while we are rounding up, I want to appreciate every single one of us. Our contributions, we are all amazing, very, very amazing. We must remain strong. Nobody can do this for us. What we are doing for ourselves is what nobody can do for us. The awareness, the consciousness building, nobody can do it for us. And make no mistake, without IPOB, we have no cohesion. We have no national cohesion as a people. What destroyed the Hausas in the north that led them fall into the mercy of Fulanis? The same thing happened to those of them in Middle Belt. Was they allowed themselves to be balkanized. The Hausa man in Zamfara believes it's all about him in Zamfara. He doesn't care to know what happens to the Hausa man in Adamawa and all the rest of them. If you come to Middle Belt, the Biron man believes that it is just happening to Kanke man, it's just happening to, Shendam man, it's just happening to, Mangu man, that it has nothing to do with him. And guess what? Instead of them to build cohesion, a common front, and fight the monsters that allow themselves to be put in piecemeal. And that's exactly what the enemy wants to do on us. They want us to believe, let IPOB go and do it. We are autopilots, nothing concerns us. Let IPOB go and do it. We are 100 men, nothing concerns us. In fact, as a matter of fact, some of us are now highly satanized to even be wishing that Fulanis strike so that they can mock and say, what is the leadership doing with the ESN? But let us understand, very, very important, that the protection is for each and every one of us. You see, the monsters are getting sophisticatedly armed every day. Look at what is happening in Mali. Look at the Sahel. They are getting the best of modern equipment. So we must, first of all, give the leadership support, because at this very moment, we are talking about the issue of survival. Every part of Nigeria is heavily struck. In Ekiti, in Kwara, in Ogun State, it's just Biafran land that is enjoying a relative calmness. And remember, it's not happening automatically. It is not just happening naturally. People are taking responsibility. People are taking certain steps to curb the incursion. So let us be strong as a people. Let us be up and doing as a people. And at the end, we will have every reason to appreciate ourselves. Caller, are you there? Yes, I'm here. Caller, go ahead.
Okay, Ndewo Mazi Chief Austin.
Ndewo Mazi.
And Mazi, thank you for this program, a way of enlightenment, because information is key. Even the scripture recognizes that the people perish because of lack of knowledge, and knowledge can only come through hearing. That's why this information dissemination is very, very key and pivotal in this stage of our struggle, because we understand that for a struggle to succeed, institution must be in place. And it's not about institution. Institution is one. The next step is allowing those institutions to function effectively, So this is the reason why today I can give it to our people that in the midst of people saying that when we do this, we are that, we are that, we have also proven to the world also that we are this kind of people who have this resilience in us, who can manage ourselves, because take it or leave it. In other parts of this country called Nigeria, that it is put together by Lord Lugard, you see that in most other parts, they don't have this mental resilience that in organization they have, that once the leader is no longer in a way abiding by the rules set out by him and the leadership, that the leadership is able to also manage this, because to me, it's a very big blow, that if the leadership were not people of integrity, who understand the game, they were able to pilot the affairs of this struggle to the point that the people have now understood that this is not all about individual, that Biafra cause is for Biafran people. You understand? So Biafra Ojukwu fought. It was a kind of defensive war. Ojukwu didn't wake up to say he is dreaming, or after dreaming, he wake up to say he wants to declare Biafra. Biafra is like self-defense, And when the Eastern Consultative Forum came together to give this new nation a name, the name of Biafra arose and it was given. So it is about the people. So why I'm going this route is for our people who believe that once the leadership, our leader is in detention, that we have to suspend everything pending when he comes out. No,
it's not.
We can't succeed like that.
No.
As a movement, we must continue to strive. Madam, am I coming out?
Live and clear, we are listening.
We must continue. We must understand that everybody is important in that your field of endeavor, because it's more like a responsibility onto every Biafran, every Igbo person, and Biafran is generally constituted. Because when we talk of this Biafran, let's not forget that it has nothing to do with Igbo or Igbo. Yes, we know that during the war, our people were the people who were killed, who suffered the effect of this very genocide. That's why it is important to us. It is so close in our heart, in our memories. On this comment advertisement, we remember the people who were killed, who were massacred, for nothing, for just being one Nigeria, So that is why it's so dear in our heart. But Biafra as it comes, that involves every part that makes this Biafra. And it is an organic thing. Come and join. You're not joining because Nnamdi Kanu is the leader. You're joining because there is a structure. There's leadership that will run the activity of the struggle. Most of us in this movement will come and go without even seeing any of this leadership. But we believe that we are part of this movement. And every effort we put in place will be remembered, either in a good way or in a bad light. That's why it's also important that whatever you're doing, don't because you put your hope in one man, and when that person is failing, you fall along with that person. That is primitive mindset. So for the process of evolution, requires that you think critical about general interest than individual interest. So Mazi, what you're doing is in line.
I appreciate.
We are not deviating from what our leader has taught us so far. All the time it's been on air, he has taught us to be mental
tough on network. Okay, let's get someone. Network seems to be okay. Hello, are you there?
Yes, Mazi, good afternoon.
There, Mazi.
Mazi, thank you for today's broadcast. And once again, very happy to get you online.
Thanks so much.
But I have a few questions to ask.
Go ahead.
Given the whole analysis, my question goes like this, Mazi. Given the conspiracy emanating from Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, is from Simon Epa to Devil Martin that I could say lobbied Mazi Nnamdi Kanu to make Simon Epa one of the US members. And the wife of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu being bullied by Mazi Nnamdi Kanu's siblings. I can also say by the sanction of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu and the IPOB money that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu handed over to his siblings. 100 men saga, Avid, autopilot. All these things are coming from one man. Then my question is, Mazi, do you think that upon the release of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, do you think he still deserves being the leader of IPOB? Or do you think that the IPOBians or the members of IPOB will still trust him as being honest? That's my question. Do you think he deserves continue leading this noble movement?
Okendeo, I think you shouldn't hesitate because you might be forced to ask for the question. Well, the question you asked whether do I think he should continue being a leader of IPOB? The issue of in Igbo leadership system, it always said Oha na Eze. Oha is the people. Eze is the kingship, that, or leadership. And that is how the acronym was, these two entities were joined together, and you have Ohaneze. That means Oha comes first before Eze. It is the Oha that makes the Ezes. So when it comes to the place of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu as a leader, it is the people that will decide. One thing you should know in our own is that even Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, being the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, it is the people that started calling him the leader. It is still the people who even gave him the title of Ohamadike. Remember the barrister?
Yeah.
Good. It is whatever, even it is the people that even gave him the supreme leader title. You know what I'm saying? So, it is not at the discretion of individuals' opinion, not even Chika Austin's opinion, that can bring what the future looks like. My honest prayer for him is this, considering the fact of the role he has played. My honest prayer is for him to quickly realize, so that when he will regain his freedom, he can have some level of respect at his disposal. Because with what is going on, I must tell you, if you don't take samples of public opinion, I do, in time past, there are periods there are certain things you cannot say about Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. The people will come after you. You know that?
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
But if you watch today, you find out that people out of anger, disappointment, pour out choose their dictions carelessly on him. It is a decline. What that shows is a decline. So, but my earnest desire is that he doesn't get to the most terrible point where the people will now see him as enemy instead of a leader. That is my earnest desire. And sadly, things are really deteriorating to that point because his quietness over the reckless behavior of his siblings, people interpret it to be that he's in collusion, he's colluding with them. People are no longer seeing him not being aware. Do you understand me? His silence are being interpreted as that he knows, but he's playing a game over the whole thing. And it's unfortunate. So my opinion of do I think to me, I think is inconsequential because I'm less than 0% of the entire Biafran population. So by the time our leader comes out, my earnest desire is that his reputation should still be intact. But to be honest with you, those around him really in fact, they demystified him. Let me use the word. They demystified Onyendu. They so much rubbished him. They so much brought him to the level that those who used to see him as semi-God, it's so annoying, Mazi. I must tell you.
Mazi, thank you very much. I am satisfied with the answer, but there is one thing that is troubling me. Why I ask this very question? Actually, with the body language of our people today, if I said if, upon the release of MNK and the DOS submit the leadership unto him again. Personally, I think that could bring a very, very big problem in IPOB. That could divide IPOB, if not destroy IPOB. Because our people today are very, very angry at everything that has happened. We lost people in IPOB. Because of this movement, many families today are closed. Some only sons died. The Ikechukwu was my very, very good friend, my schoolmate. Everything, I know whatever thing these guys are passing through, and it is Ikechukwu. If you have been to his place, you will know. So people are very angry. People are very angry at seeing what had played. Think about MNK using the IPOB money. People are suffering. People are suffering. I stay in Paris, make research. I'm Chris. People are suffering, paying heavily to make sure that this movement should be sustained. At the end of the day, one charlatan somewhere who, because he's saying this Kanu family is the one who is in control to this thing that even Mazi Nnamdi Kanu's son, his own biological son, was denied his school fees from so-called sibling. And Mazi Nnamdi Kanu never said anything. Me, I am, like I said before, I'm really concerned what could be the consequence if upon the release of MNK and the DOS, without no questioning, giving the leadership. I see more problem there than what is happening now. Thank you, Mazi. This is my submission.
Yes, well, I understand. Probably, this is my own speculation. Probably, maybe Onyendu also have foresaw what the future might look like, that he decided to, let him float, let him float 100 men group perhaps he might be not seeing what might happen, because if you listen the minions he's gathering, they always say that the DOS has hijacked the movement, but there are certain things we might be saying now that is not really. Time might be proven to be wrong or right, but let's just watch as events unfold. Okay, I also have other callers. I have too many callers, but I'm trying to see what we can do to listen to everyone. Then okay, caller, sorry, we had your missed calls. It seems you are listening to your gadgets instead of the phone call. Okay.
Hello.
When you're ready, so that we'll get back to you again. Okay. Hello, are you there? Hello, caller, are you there?
Yeah, Mazi.
Ndeo.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I'm listening.
Okay. Thank you for picking my call.
You're welcome.
I just listened to the question the last call asked, and to be honest, as a principal officer, might be blunt. I do not see any as being fit anymore to lead this noble movement called IPOB, based on the events that have been happening since his rendition. How Simon Eber used his name to kill thousands of our people in also Imo State. And he has a couple of opportunities to come out at the court to openly disassociate himself from that, but he never did, even though within our mind we think he doesn't know what was going on. We understand what enemy they said and how Kanu, attacked him and all the rest of those things. We are watching that. And how he asks us to support people, Avid and Sunrise, and the same people that we are supporting Simon Ekpa. Never for one day. We that have been protesting year in, year out, ever since his rendition, doing the needful, paying our monthly contribution, no accolade. And that's quite disappointing. But the shocking part is the same lawyer who came on channel saying that those people who killed our people are his disciples, which he still allowed those lawyers to come around him, came out and say he is now organizing 100 men. And these 100 men tends to be the same autopilots and expelled IPOB members. But when we look at these people, what is their job online? To attack IPOB. That's all they do. And we look at that. How can the people who say Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is their leader end up attacking the same organization that he leads? The only two things that can redeem him is one, either he use those lawyers to disassociate himself from all these people, uses his name to be attacking IPOB, or he renounced being a leader of IPOB. Or at worst, maybe he's coming out, let him come out with Biafra. If he's not going to come out with Biafra, he'd rather stay there, because that's what he told us. He must come out with something. It's not, unless he's trying to come out like Wazirike, then we know that he has outrightly betrayed us. That is the fact. I'm not trying to sugarcoat or, trying to beautify this war. That is the fact. He's going to come out with something. He's not going to come out like Wazirike. So he has this time, as we are still giving him that opportunity, to distance yourself from these people attacking us, or you renounce being a leader of IPOB.
Why am I saying this? When Simon and we are killing our people, you remember we were enlisted as one of the group. We fought it. Today, we are hearing the same 100 men are recruiting an armed men. Most of us here, if they succeeded, for example, this nonsense they're doing, and they try to enlist us again, and we couldn't succeed again. Bear in mind, most of us that are living in the Western world, some of us will be picked and be asked questions. Some of us might even be faced to answer for a crime we do not know nothing about it. We understand that. So we are not gonna. If he has any plan to destroy IPOB and to destroy us, we're not gonna allow and sit back and watch that. So he has this window to openly distance himself, or he renounce being a member of the leader of IPOB, because we're not gonna let him destroy IPOB and destroy us. Not only that he's gonna destroy IPOB, but it will have effect on us. We are all family people. We are professionals. We have job. We are doing it. So we will not let any selfish interest ruin our lives here. That is not gonna happen. So like that, the other man saying, whether he's still gonna lead IPOB or not. To me, as it stands now, it is not fit unless he can come out and do these things. Or if he's coming out with Biafra, he promised us. Mazi, let me leave it here. Thank you very much.
I honestly appreciate your opinion. It's really, really amazing. It saddens me. I must tell you this. It saddens me when I look at the story. I look at the stories of Onyendu, the height he was and where his siblings got him today. It really, really disturbs me, I must tell you. Caller, are you there?
Hello, man. Good evening, sir.
Good evening. Sorry, I called you earlier, but you were more listening to the program than the call.
I'm sorry for that.
No. There's no problem. You have no apology. Just a reminder for that. Okay, the platform is yours.
Okay. Please, I want to ask a small question. One question. The major issue I want to ask here. First of all, I'm IPOB member. Before, anyway, still now. Boy, that's it. For now, hello.
I'm listening. We are listening.
For now, I'm not attending the meeting again because of some issue we noticed. I'm living in northern Nigeria, Middle Belt, which is Plateau State. So after the kidnapping of Onyendu, went to the meeting, I noticed that the leadership had been hijacked somehow by other pilots or this other movement. So what they are saying there again is not what I'm getting for media when I enter IPOB media. And now stop meeting. And up to now, because as of last 3 months or last 2 months, I went there again. Let me know whether everything had been settled. That is, whether the movement had been controlled by those and the people, the leadership. I noticed that up till now, it's still all this autopilot, and because what I'm hearing there is that they went to meeting and they have meeting, which they say even another one they will have. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu brother would be there, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu sister would be there. So when they are saying those things, I'm like,
sorry, let me get something clear. You mean they said these are autopilot? They say the meeting they'll be having next.
No, the major thing, I noticed that for our side, this northern region, the movement has been hijacked. So the information they are giving is no longer from those DOS. I noticed that the information is coming from autopilot. This started when they kidnapped Nnamdi Kanu from Kenya. So I now stopped attending any meeting. So going there last 3 months to know whether everything had been settled, I noticed that it's the same information.
And they were referencing Onyendu sister and Onyendu brother coming.
Onyendu sister and the brother, they will have meeting together with them, and they are happening. So for me, I feel like this is not what we bargained for, because I know what we swear to. Our oath is to defend the leadership and our leader. It's not to defend.
So what it means is that the autopilots are in contact with Onyendu's siblings.
That is yeah. Because
it's all right.
They will have meeting with Onyendu's sister, even the one that is giving him food and other things.
In
so,
Sokoto.
I don't know, Mazi. I don't know, like us that is living out of Biafran land, but
yeah.
How can we? I don't know. Is it that there is no way we can get source from the major?
Okay, there is no problem on that. You will chat me. What will happen? Chat me.
Yeah.
Just chat me. You can drop the call. You chat me, remind me. Then we go from there.
Yeah. Okay, but anyway, okay.
It's all right. I appreciate. Okay, I want to get Mazi KK called. So let's. Okay, you can drop the call. I will get back to you. Okay, Mazi KK, the Italian national coordinator called, and I have to get back to him. Okay, Mazi KK, Ndewo. Yes, live and clear. Oh, buddy.
You know, when our people are complaining all these things, some people will come and tell you how leadership. You need to like diplomatic, you know. I think I might see how it's all right. Like he doesn't understand what that guy is explaining. Oh, no, then don't I can't so good on after God. Oh, God. It's all right. Well, it's diplomatic. Now, who will know you and make that it? Onion is in hand when that's it. Mazi, when you go to your village to encounter your chief priest or your king or your kingsman, village in Kedo, are you telling me that your family, your parents, your fathers are not aware of this? Or something like that. How can I do it that way? Because you can go to back or no.
Exactly.
Before your father can say, you want don't go. You want happy here. So, Mazi Nnamdi is aware of all these things his brothers is doing. And all you want to do how autopilot, we have been shouting about this autopilot for more than 3-4 years now. He refused, in the very simple to do, to disassociate himself from these guys. Many people have lived this struggle today because Onyendu refused to disassociate himself from these auto criminals.
But Mazi is so contradictory that all this thing, like Onyana, I don't know him, and he's saying that these guys were discussion with Onyendu's sister who is in Sokoto. You can hear that guy, you know. But the same Onyendu told the bishop.
We have that thing. We have the information. It's very correct. Not only Sokoto.
Now,
we are doing it all over the world with the help of JCI and the Benjamin.
Now, the same Onyendu was telling a bishop that it was what autopilots did that led to his indictment. So the whole thing is getting confusing. I must tell you.
You should not be confused. You are very understanding human being. If you say you are getting confused, man, you won't get your own.
Just tell me.
Nothing is confusing there. Are you going to be confused for 5 years? Make you be confused. What are you confused? The system is that these people is the people who refuse to let go. And they have that mind of come on the warriors or let everybody perish. That is what is really happening. And they are able to set everybody up as we stand now because they are losing. Do you know that I was opportune to encounter the Biafra radio or whatever they call them. Do you know who they put there now to broadcast stage, you know? So you can imagine the level these people have gone, whereby they have started using people who have been expired in IPOB, calling them back and are using people like that lady, Methuselah, Livingstone.
Emeka Livingstone.
Yes, Emeka Livingstone, my brother. So what are we saying? If we come out to say it, they will take it easy and people are dying, people are suffering every day. What they're interested is money. Mazi, I have this, let me ask it on your platform again. Because I think you are one of the hardcores that knows exactly what's happening in Biafra land. Can you tell me one of the names or name of those people that died in the Onion Juice compound, that statement? Do you know one of somebody's name there? I want to ask you.
I don't know. And unfortunately, I would have also fallen that day because I was also around.
That's why I asked you. Mazi, imagine that now they were that day. It's unfortunate. Nobody will recognize you or remember your name. Do you know that? So do one thing to now how to testify for people who go out. You have to just rethink. But you have one here that day. Who will be there now to talk about these things we are talking to them? Only will prove you, my brother. Only they're going to suffer here with your family, your brothers, your sisters, your siblings. So that's why you see, whenever you see truth or whenever you see, you will condemn it. Let me go back to your topic. You are right up here. There is a division of labor and the election of a president or any public figure. Like I made a program where, well, unfortunately, I just finished smoking my cigarettes before I enter life. But unfortunately, the life stopped some part of it. Most of people that is following me called me privately to say, Mazi, I'm not a guy with your job. I have to listen to them. Not that they owed my life, because I'm serving them. They are under me. I don't want anything that would link them maybe not to trust me again. I have to let go. That's why you have limitation as a public person, public officer, public servant, or whatever you can put it. Not everywhere you're supposed to be found at the wrong time, even in love. You think, well, you like Alabanco. There's no Igbo man who doesn't like Alabanco. There's where you will find yourself. You have to limit some certain areas. You can find yourself there once in a while, maybe during first matrimonial or wedding or whatever. No problem. That's why you are serving the public mass. Everybody has to be careful. I don't know how many times I have had a dozen chinas or any of them going to club or going to a public place. They all avoid all those things. Even me that is talking here. So that is who we are. Not when we come to condemn the certain evils somebody is doing, they will tell you it's his private business. But the private
that is nonsense. That is pure nonsense.
Yes, when you are not holding public fund. If public fund is in Cheka Sustin's name, Mazi, if you go organize anymore, I got to get here. She a private issue. You know, but we must ask you the question because she's a guy. Or whether you get the Ganyan. If you go to market to buy crayfish, we have to ask you, is it your own money or our own money? That is the dangerous of holding public fund, my brothers. So anybody who is a public figure supposed to limit some certain things he's doing. He told us publicly that he owns nothing. He can't do anything with cars, he can't do anything with all these things. When Biafra comes, he has to relax because he has suffered enough. Today, he don't want to let go for others to continue until they come out. They want to still be in charge of some of the ones that are over this year. And I talk about him and who and Camina about the others. All these things have to be said. That's another guy to look at. Another guy to I'm quoting him, Mazi. I'm not quoting you. I'm quoting Mazi. He still loves him, believe me. All these people that is around him doesn't love that man. Even that Chinasa is trying to kill to death, he loves him. But once he believes that he's the only Igbo man who can have that mind of killing or threatening everybody, Mazi Kamaya Osha. Somebody in the media said that instead of them to kill him, let him talk his son. So I don't know how this kind of thing have come to be threatening people's life. Now the attack is going to direction to the wife now. And the Muslim will not tell me that it's not seen all those attack and all those and so. There is a video voice I've sent to you. Listen how they analyze this woman with the name and everything. You will tell me the only people that knows about all those things that idiot said there is Mazi and the sister. So when somebody has that thing, he will tell you, no, leave it, forget it. No, it's not by forgetting. It's when people are talking, you pick information, pick words one by one, and understand what is going on. So regardless, I really want to appreciate all of you that come once in a while to lecture our people, because we must control. You can see what is going on in Nigeria now. They are dividing our people, calling our people secretly to join autopilot. Again, after all the battle we have gone through from this thing. Now, this one is rebranded autopilot from Mazi and the Carlos family. Rebranding them in another form. And you say you will not sit down there to condemn that evil Mazi. We don't even watch it. I really appreciate you.
Okay, that is from the Italian National Coordinator, Mazi Kekuda. I really appreciate every single one of us. To be honest with you, this program is really, really a difficult, one to have done today. Is a difficult in the sense that when you look at one thing that is happening, a great one, and the current status is really disturbing. Really disturbing. But nevertheless, the only thing that is permanent is change. So sometimes we console ourselves with that action. Very, very important. So from here, I want to say, do have the best of the weekend. I mean, we'll have a wonderful week.